Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to What If Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Thomas. Always with me is the wizard himself, nephew Corey. What's going on, wizard?
What's going on? Y'all got me via satellite, so I'm gonna be just an avatar today.
And I got my main man, Champ Creed, with me, Tribal Chief Keith. What's up, Champ?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? I just thought about this. I know we're doing a Hogan dedication show in light of his recent passing, but maybe we should also do a what if he stayed in AWA?
Yeah, we can do that. We can work on it. As you
We'll
mentioned,
work on that. Yeah,
we
yeah.
work on it. As you mentioned, we're talking about Hulk Hogan, the legendary Hulk Hogan, who passed away on July 24th. Wizard, when did you realize and what did you think of Hulk Hogan as you were growing up? And I think I'm the eldest statesman on this podcast, so his probably view might be a little bit different.
So, well, it's interesting. I mean, I'm still, I was born, close enough to where I was alive during Hogan's first run. So, um, no, it was just interesting. I mean, for me, I was never really a Hogan fan as a kid. I like Sting as a kid. I like Ultimate Warrior as a kid. I mean, Hogan wasn't my guy. I didn't boo him necessarily or anything, but he wasn't my guy as a kid. So, but I understand the contributions to wrestling. So, definitely was a big time shock for the wrestling world, so I get it, but wasn't really that big of a fan of his as a kid.
Well,
Champ, how
so
about you?
hold on. Who did you like growing up?
I literally just said it. I said I like Sting, I like Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior. I mean, I wasn't a Hogan fan as a kid. I really wasn't.
Wow. I think this show is going to take an interesting turn. I tell
Yeah,
you this much, it ain't going to be like that intro that we did before we put
yeah,
it on.
you got that right.
So you guys are getting the edited and sanitized version, which we may release later at another time. However, to answer the question, uh, I will say my Saturday mornings were like this: wake up in the morning, eat some cereal, right? Fruity Pebbles, of course, that was my choice. And then
hmm
I'd watch cartoons. Wrestling Challenge, I believe, would come on at 12, right? I would watch
Yeah, I
that.
guess depending on the syndication, champ, because it was Superstars when I was growing up coming on, but it may have been Wrestling Challenge in your area,
Yeah, I think it may have switched like from one year to
depending
the
on the
next.
area. Yeah.
Yeah, depending on the area. And then I think that was like my entry point into watching wrestling.
hmm
Um, I remember him the first time I saw Hogan was in Rocky 3, I believe,
Uh-huh.
with Clubber Lang. And then it just went with the storyline was like, okay, I see this guy in Rocky. I see this guy on Saturdays. Now he's on MTV. Now there's an event called WrestleMania, and
hmm
all of these things. Muhammad Ali is going to be there. So I would say that was like my earliest memory. And throughout the years, you just buy in to the storyline where the patriotic, real American, who changed his song from "Eye of the Tiger" to Derringer's "Real American," which to me was a perfect upgrade for the character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just
hmm
felt something, a level of connectivity with the character.
Yeah.
Uh, First question I had though was, why are all his friends turning on him? Right? This was
hmm
this was my thing.
As a kid, yeah.
Like I'm still bought. I'm still in with rooting and cheering and supporting, but there's got to be something as to why this guy every time he teams up with somebody, like they turn on him, what have you. And then what happens, as we later found out, the person behind the character did a lot of things behind the curtain, which actually, in a way, made sense for the characters to turn on the character based upon what the person was doing behind the curtain, you know. Um,
hmm
and I'll say this because we're going to go through the years, I assume,
Yeah.
or through the eras, but this is just one of those situations where had his passing occurred earlier than over the past few years, we would be looking at almost like a national, dare I say, international moment of silence kind of thing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You're
I was
looking,
gonna get to that.
yeah,
I'm glad
yeah,
you're. Yeah. I
You're,
was gonna get to that too. I was
you're,
gonna say the same thing. And before you jump in,
mhm.
G, I just want to throw
Yeah.
this in there too. It's an interesting melting pot of opinions we're gonna get here, much like I mentioned, because for me, I was born in '84.
Hmm.
So my consciousness of understanding and being able to like who I want to like is coming around a late 87, 88,
Right.
89, where Hogan's heyday realistically is probably 84 to 86, maybe 87 when he slams Andre.
87.
After that, there are other characters that, like, yes, you had other good guys during the early, but the early part of Hogan's, it was like Hogan and everybody else. As opposed to the late 80s, you had Hogan, you had Macho, you had Warrior, you had Ricky the Dragon, Jake the Snake. You had other supporting cast of baby faces where there were opportunities to choose other people for children my age, as opposed to when y'all were Hogan was it, for y'all. So there's a stark difference. So the opinions will definitely differ.
Yeah, I mean, well, for me, I was a Hulkamania kid, right? I had the bed sheets, I had the curtains, I had the yellow shirt, the yellow and red shirt, that
Mm-hmm.
bandana. I said my prayers, ate my vitamins, and called it a day, right? I was the kid who loved Hulk Hogan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything about Hulk Hogan, to me was great. You mentioned Rocky 3. I watched Rocky because of Hulk Hogan, right? It wasn't because of Apollo Creed. It wasn't because of Mr. T. Take it back. It was because of Mr. T too, because I'm a big Mr. T fan. So those two were like, to me, Mr. T and Hulk Hogan was 1 and 2 far as things, right? I was a big A-Team fan. So
Yeah, yeah.
I love the A-Team. So when I saw those two together at WrestleMania 1, I'm like, oh man, it's like, yo, we got to get this. I was a kid in a candy store, right? Because my two favorite heroes are teamed up together to take on Roddy Piper, Paul Orton, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. I mean, it's a Bob Orton's gonna be in all those things. So it's like, hey, this is great to me. And so I understood the character Hulk Hogan was great, which really got me, um, you know, really think hooked me to wrestling, right? And then by that I was gone. I was like, hey, wrestling. Every time wrestling was on, it was on. So Hulk Hogan drew me in. In later years, and I guess we'll get to it. I was able to separate
Mm-hmm.
Hulk Hogan from Terry Bollea, right?
Mm-hmm.
I understood the character Hulk Hogan, then I understood Terry Bollea, the man. And I think, but wrestling wise, the reason I started watching pro wrestling was because of Hulk Hogan.
And it's
Saturday night main
crazy.
event, Saturday night main
It's
events, DC 20. I mean DC 20 Wrestling Challenge, Wrestling Superstars.
mm-hmm.
Even though he didn't wrestle one of those shows, and I want to put that out. He didn't
Every
wrestle.
once in a while you
He
got
didn't
them.
Yeah,
Every
yeah,
once
you
in a
got him
while.
once in the blue.
Well, he talked and he was promos, but if you didn't see him wrestle, he was always for the big matches and pay-per-views. But it still hooked me because it was Hulk Hogan.
It's crazy that of the immediate people involved in that WrestleMania 1 main event, I mean everybody, Bob Orton and Mr. T, the only ones alive.
Yeah,
Because the referee, Pat Patterson, is gone, Snooker's
that's it.
gone, Piper's
Ali,
gone, Orndorff's
Ali,
gone, Hogan is
Ali.
gone,
Ali's gone.
yeah, Ali's gone, Liberace, all like everybody immediately involved with that main event is pretty much gone.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
like that.
It's
That
it's time. I mean, like
yeah.
I would say
It's 40
so.
years ago.
Yeah, so basically, you look at it. He's the entry point for a generation, and
Yeah,
it just so happened that he's also not only is he the entry point, but he's also the jump off point to the boom, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So you
for 2 generations, you got to figure out. Yeah, for
Well,
the
wait, that's exactly where I was going. So you have that, and you said Mania was in '84, right?
85.
'85.
85.
So it was '85. WrestleMania 2, I don't even count that. That was like Halloween 2. Um, and then you have, and then you have the Andre Slam, right?
Yep.
Which while that's going on in '80, you know what? I distinctly remember this. I was in third grade, and the day that weekend, I didn't see it because I didn't have access to pay-per-view live circuit, whatever the case was.
Mm-hmm.
But our assistant principal came in the lunchroom on Monday and told us that Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant, and we couldn't believe it, right? Whole lunchroom, whatever. Then a few weeks before, after I'm foggy on that, Hagler fought Sugar Ray Leonard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then the same thing, our lunchroom, the assistant principal came in and he talked about that event at the same level. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you take boxing, which was what it was back then, it was almost like the Super Bowl in terms of a matchup with Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler. Wrestling became like the Super Bowl when you had Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. And then from there, they just rode the wave. And it's interesting for a Super Bowl level event, right? You got to have the season, you have to have certain teams make it, what have you, to get like a good rating, to do all these things. I mean, now the Super Bowl sells itself. Back then, not so much. For boxing, you have to have the storylines and the lead up, whatever, and it takes a while to get it. But with this guy, at that point in 87, once it reached its pinnacle, he ran off of fumes. And I'm not saying fumes is like, oh, it's not. I'm talking about it was like from there to what, 90, you would say?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, so from 87 to you look from 84 to 87, boom, 87 to 90. It was just
Yeah.
a phenomenal thing. And in any sports format, I mean, if you want to count it, like, okay, you go from 84 to 90, that's 6 years. That's like the Bulls, winning six
Oh, get out my brain.
championships.
I got something I got to say about that.
I'll let
Yeah.
you go. Go ahead.
Yeah.
But no, real,
Look,
real quick though.
it was something.
Go ahead.
I'm trust me, I'm throwing it right back to you. But something
Go
that
ahead.
I've seen nobody else, and I think probably only my brain would make this comparison. When you said something about WrestleMania 2, give you like, I don't even get. You know what I immediately thought of? This is me. I said, man, WrestleMania 1, 2, and 3 is kind of like the Jordan 1, 2, and 3. The breakthrough with WrestleMania, the 2, which nobody likes, and then the 3 with the cements, and then the Hogan Slam and Andre, it's revolution. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
nobody, and I want to make sure I put this out here on film or on tape because nobody else has made this comparison anywhere socially, I don't think. And I probably need to write something on it. But
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
yeah,
And
I think I
and, it,
do.
and it's great though because I remember that because that was one of the first times I ever saw wrestling, WWE wrestling on
Hmm.
ESPN.
What
Oh
ESPN
yeah, yeah.
ESPN covered Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant and what happened in WrestleMania 3.
mm,
And
I
It was a
don't
big
remember
deal.
and that was a big deal back then because wrestling wasn't on your mainstream news. Wrestling wasn't on your, but ESPN covered that and they talked about it. And you said AEW, I mean AWA. That was AWA country, ESPN every afternoon on at 3 o'clock. Well, come on, but it was big for Hulk Hogan to slam Andre the Giant, and that how ESPN talked about it. It was great. And
You know,
93,000. We talk about the number later. 93,000 in the Pontiac Superdome. But again, is what it is.
And
and
then
you,
oh, go
mhm.
ahead. Go ahead,
No, no,
Ray.
no. I was just gonna throw this in there again. That's why I'll get to it. That's why my Mount Rushmore is the way that it is. Go ahead, Keith.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say, and then so he has that run from 84 to 90,
Yep.
and then it's a downtime in the business all the way around. And then he has another run from what was it, 96 to 99?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he has another run from 96 to 99, to which with the whole NWO thing.
To be honest, back that up 2 years. Dare I say he was the man in WCW all the way until he turned. There's just a small gap of an absence there,
But it was
but he
lackluster though.
No, it was like yeah, nobody was really checking for it. Like
It
it
was
was
what
it,
you
it,
got Flair and Hogan out of it.
but
yeah,
it
it
was
was a big deal. It was a big deal when he came. I mean, and we could debate on this on another show. It was a big deal when he came. But
Yeah,
his dance partners, you had Kevin Sullivan, the whole Dungeon of Doom
yeah,
now
situation.
that was bad.
yeah,
Right.
it
So
was
his dance partners before that to me, kind of sold the whole Hulkamania. Now the parade was good when he first came. That was
yeah,
big. The
yeah.
Shaq situation. Remember
Okay,
Shaq was
so I'll
over
give
there?
it the first year. The first year he
Yeah.
was there. Then
And it wasn't it was big for WCW and the
Yes.
Superstation, but overall the business wasn't what it was, with the
Yeah.
downturn. And I had stopped watching. I remember WWF had some dude named Fantasio or something like that used to pull some
Mm-hmm.
glitter. I was like, what the hell is this? Because now I'm a teenager, I think, and I'm like, all right, I'm not watching wrestling anymore. It's not the same deal. However,
Right.
that Bash at the Beach, what year was
Mm-hmm.
it? When did it happen again? When was that Bash at the Beach?
July 96.
All right,
Yep.
July 96. I was outside playing ball, right? And then I was in the park hanging out, and I heard one of my buddies that I knew came outside, was like, "Yo, Hogan turned bad. He's a bad guy now." And I was like, "Man, if you don't get out of here with that, whatever." He's like, "Nah, I'm telling you." And then everybody was like trying to play it off, like, "Oh, we too cool. We don't watch wrestling anymore." Maybe about like 3 minutes go by. We're like, "All right, fellas, I think I'm gonna head upstairs right now. I'm gonna see what's going on." And then and then we went and we found out, and then it changed our viewing habits of this particular genre of entertainment once again. And he was at the beginning of this new jump off point.
Yep.
And that's what we said too. Whitney Wizard was talking prior to starting this. Hogan changed two organizations
Yeah.
and the direction of organizations in our
Mm-hmm.
lifetime.
Yeah,
He changed the WWE early in 1984, right? And where WWE is today, because it wouldn't be where it is today if it had not been for Hulk Hogan, right? And he changed the trajectory of WCW when he turned bad. I mean, as you put it,
yeah. They say Hogan turned bad.
Hogan turned bad with the NWO. It would not have been the same if Sting had turned bad, because it wouldn't have had the same impact, right? Hogan turning with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, it aligned everything, right? It aligned the cool Hogan, it aligned WWE guys, right? It
Mhm.
aligned everything. And I remember the call Bobby Heenan was like, I told y'all, right? It is that right there.
The one
Um,
time Heenan was right.
one time Heenan was right. All right. It was a time where turn wrestling upside down. Even to this day, I looked at a photo of someone this past week. They went down to Florida, and I think this prior to Hogan passing, but they had an NWO Hulk Hogan shirt on, right? Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
Hogan shirt. And I'm like, even 20 years, 30 years late, this NWO thing is still running wild. Kids are finding out NWO, and young kids are like, hey, that was cool, right? With the network and everything. So Hogan changed the trajectory of another organization. Now, there was an
Yeah.
organization he changed the trajectory of that didn't do well, but that's neither here nor there. Because
It,
Hogan
it
and Team
you,
Hayes killed it.
For 83 weeks it did.
you know what it is? It's like what he did by turning heel after that first 6-year run will be equivalent to Jordan playing for the Wizards and winning 2 championships.
Boy, we wish that would have happened.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't we? Man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, especially for us, that would have changed our lives.
Yeah.
With us.
Yeah. Just to put it in perspective now, in terms of turning the corner to the person Terry Bollea. So when the Gawker trial, when they had a documentary about the Gawker trial, I was at Sundance,
Mhm.
and I was watching the screening, and it was very interesting because you have a theater full of people that are not pro wrestling fans. They're there for the purpose of watching a documentary, what have you.
Sure.
There was a part where he was on trial and the lawyer was asking him, so, Hulk Hogan, he's saying Hulk Hogan is responsible for this. And how do you expect to respond? He said, I'm not Hulk Hogan. I'm Terry Bollea. And it was like, no. You're Hulk Hogan. He said, no. I'm Terry Bollea. The character that I portray is Hulk Hogan. Now, at this juncture of the screening, I'm looking to the left, I'm looking to the right. Everyone is perplexed. They don't understand kayfabe. They have no clue what's going on. And then there's a whole like 3-4 minute situation where he has to explain the difference of the character that he portrays in television
Mm-hmm.
at autograph signings versus who the name on his driver's license. And fans didn't really understand that there was a huge difference. And I think what we're faced with now, uh, is that there are people in the social media realm that are unable to separate the character from the person.
I think that's where we at because the Hulk Hogan is what the childhood that you grew up on, the guy that you like, that you watch. The Terry Bollea is the one who says he doesn't want his daughter to date a N word, right? The Terry Bollea is the one where it came to the steroid trial against Vince McMahon, which I think a lot of people started going south on Hulk Hogan / Terry Bollea. Then, dropping dimes on people, turning witness, right? Also, when Hulk Hogan is the one that people started turning south on Hulk Hogan, the boys, when he tried to break up the unions, not getting
Yep.
unionized, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
again, that was Terry Bollea being that way. So when you have to separate the two, in my eyes, you have to separate Terry Bollea from Hulk Hogan because you appreciate the Hulk Hogan, but you don't appreciate the things that Terry Bollea did as a person. Whether it was Terry Bollea who took allegedly Macho Man's wife, said slept with his wife, that's Terry Bollea, right? That's not Hulk Hogan, not the character you saw on WWE TV or WCW TV. That's Terry Bollea. Or as it was Terry Bollea who was portraying Hulk Hogan at the Republic Convention in 2024, right? That is
Right.
Terry. That's Terry Bollea. That's not Hulk Hogan. Um, so you have to be able to separate the two, as if you same way you do Tom Cruise, all right, from his character in Mission Impossible. You have to
Okay.
separate. You separate the two. That's the way I look at it. I can appreciate what Hulk Hogan did for the professional wrestling and what he did for the sport, but also look at him as the man and know his influence and some of the things he did and said. I didn't agree with.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point. I'm glad you made the Mission Impossible um, comparison because there's Tom Cruise and then there's Ethan Hunt, right?
Ethan
The
Hunt,
character, and then Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt does all of the stunts for Ethan Hunt,
right?
whereas Terry Bollea is portraying Hulk Hogan, and in the ring he's doing all the work as Hulk Hogan. To which, when people say, "Oh, I've had people come up to me or just mention to me in passing, yeah, the wrestling thing, and they say, oh, I can't get into it. It's fake and da 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 da. Hulk Hogan, he wasn't like a real." I said, no, 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 look. When you watch a movie, that actor in the film, if it ain't, Mission Impossible, they're not doing their stunts, but you still watch the movie, you still like the character.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was a character that not only had a run in film, excuse me, not film, because his movies weren't that good. He had a run in a portion of programming for this 6-year window, went away and came back and had another run, and then dare I say, went away and came back and had another run. Because to this day, if we have to go down the list of all-time favorite Hogan matches, it's not about the technicality or
Mhm.
precision. It's what you feel when you watch it. That Hogan versus Rock match at WrestleMania 18, to
Yeah.
this day, like I can still watch it and get goosebumps,
Yeah.
right? Still to this day. And
Yeah.
and and I explain it to people that way. And look, going back to had his passing occurred at a different juncture as opposed to now, like I feel that he would have had one of those processions that was like a parade, that traffic would have been stopped, people from wherever they were, walking or driving you remember how it was when Biggie died?
Yeah.
Well, I was giving you one more. To when Muhammad Ali, I remember when you went down in Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh no, that's different though. It wouldn't have
Okay.
been like that. That was different. That was different. That right there. I still have that show up, I think, on the on our YouTube page.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But no, it would have been. I think it would have been something to where it's like how it was in the streets of Brooklyn when Notorious B.I.G. passed away. I kind of envisioned something like that had the individual not taken the turn that he did, going from that Gawker trial and all the other things that came out.
Yeah.
So the impact of the business would never be can never take away the impact of his business, right? That he put on the business, not only wrestling but wrestlers, right? The impact, the Hulk Hogan was the master of false finishes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. That hulking up, it became a term. Yeah, and so it became the impact that was there. The colorful stuff. I mean, that he had, the yellow, the red and yellow was synonymous with Hulk Hogan.
Branding. Yeah, the
Branding.
branding of the
Yeah,
character.
yeah. The
Right.
brand, the branding of wrestlers and merchandise is kind of because of Hulk Hogan. I mean, he took merchandise to another level.
That's why he left AWA.
Right. Think
Yeah.
about it. He took wrestling merchandise
Went to New
in,
York.
in New York and it made it where it is today because of him being able to sell all this stuff. He's a big contributor to the merchandise push in professional wrestling. Fans
Yeah.
wanted to wear Hulk Hogan shirt. I mean, ripping the shirt was like a thing. So it is a thing. I mean, he's did it, like I said, he did it at the Republican National Convention, and everybody still gets goosebumps, right? Because he's still ripping his shirt. So that's one of the things that people want to remember. You have to separate the wrestler from the guy, and know that he had an impact in this business. He also had an impact in the entertainment world as well. So he will be truly missed in the world of professional wrestling
I
for,
think,
for what he has done.
yeah, I
Mhm.
think that his le- all right, here's the thing with the Real American Beer thing, right? So I thought that I feel he aligned himself with the RNC convention and all this other stuff in an effort to sell the beer, right? That's what I feel. Because you didn't have to jump out the window like the way he did, you know what I mean? So he was in promo mode. The
He
thing
was
is,
his friend too, though. I mean, he looking at his friend. He wanted his friend to do very well.
yeah, but I don't think that I think I just don't see that this last chapter. I just see it as completely unnecessary, regardless of your political convictions, what have you. At the end of the day, you got to have some. We talked about branding. You have to have some brand awareness, especially when you're putting products in the marketplace for public consumption. He could have been better served just running it and promoting it on his own, off his own merits. And I think that what happens with a lot of athletes and a lot of entertainers and people in sports entertainment, I think once they get past a certain age, I think they kind of like lose their sense of self. And it's almost like when they say living the gimmick, is that what it is?
Yeah,
I think some of them start to live the gimmick and they start to lose touch with reality and what's really going on. you know. And I got the sense that towards like the last stages, he really kind of like lost what was going on, you know. Now, regardless of, like I said, whatever your political convictions are, I'm never gonna fault anyone, and I'm never gonna say that, oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't step out on that. But just from a branding standpoint, I just think that it would have been better for the business and the legacy of Hulk Hogan not to tie himself so closely and deeply entrench himself with that, because at the end of the day, things change, you know. Fads change, America changes, and even though some people are trying to bring America back to how it was, you know I was going to say 1984, but it looked like they're trying to go to 1884. But I just feel like, this is why you got to have someone in your corner that kind of like guides your career after a certain point. Like I look at how Stone Cold has preserved himself, right? I think you can attribute that to his wife, to his business partners, whatever the case may be. A lot of folks and a lot of wrestlers didn't necessarily have that affordable to them.
hmm
And now I think what this also will do is people in the industry are going to look at how they manage and handle their later years with as much care and detail as they did their earlier years. Whoever that, I don't know her name, but Bret's wife, the woman that he's with, Bret Hart's wife,
hmm
she's doing a phenomenal job of managing his legacy and rolling him out with things that are necessary versus things that are not necessary. And I think that that's a key component that a lot of people will take from this is like, how do you manage your legacy after you reach a certain age?
I definitely agree with that. Hey, as we get ready to wrap this thing up, man, what's your closing thoughts and words on Hulk Hogan?
Uh, Again, I mean, same sentiments as pretty much I had at the beginning of the show. Is that growing up as a kid, just it's a interesting transition period from when I grew up in the sense that he was kind of on the downside of his first run when I was, conscious enough to understand who I want to root for and who I don't want to root for in wrestling or whatnot. But as an adult, I understand the contributions that he had to wrestling. So I wasn't really a big Hulk Hogan fan. Just that's just me. But yeah, I mean, the contributions were, will always be measured by and be told over and over again for years to come. So yeah.
Wizard. Champ Creed, Chief Tribal Chief Keep. Your
Uh,
thoughts?
I mean, it just what they say. You live long enough, you become the villain. This is the quintessential story of that, man.
Yeah, it is. All
Yeah.
right, definitely. Last one. Favorite Hogan match. Each one of you.
Oh, WrestleMania, was that 18? Hogan versus Rock.
Yeah, I think it's got to be you know what? I'm going to go different. Um I'm going to say Hogan and Savage from WrestleMania 5.
Okay. I'm gonna go different from both of y'all. I'm gonna say Hogan King Kong Bundy. As Hogan came back after Bundy had splashed him, and kids were crying. I was one of those kids at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
One of
Mm.
the, so King Kong Bundy, but that's old school. Go look it up for those who are not that don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, hey man, it's been a great show, fellas. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all follow us on all social media channels as What If Wrestling Podcast. Uh, we lost a wrestling legend. Regardless of what you think about him as a man, a wrestling legend had passed away, and that is Hulk Hogan, who transcended the world of professional wrestling. And dare not say, if it had not been for Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon, we may not be talking about WWE or WCW or Hulk Hogan on this magnitude. But and he's gone, but we have more wrestlers. Hey, stay tuned to What If Wrestling Podcast. We got some other great things coming out down the pipe for you guys a little bit later. Continue to hit the subscribe button, the bell notification. Follow us on all social media outlets, all podcast outlets as well. Hey, thanks for joining us for this short space of time as we remembered Hulk Hogan. Wizard, take us home.
Hey, if you're not confirmed, consider yourself denied.
In the story, ladies and gentlemen, good night and peace.